Rap Radio. Raw and uncut.
Cubo, and welcome to Chicano Rap Radio. I'm your homie Snipes holding it down, and today we have Tomas Solis Jr. of Underworld 805 Records. So without further ado, let's welcome the homeboy to the show. What's up, Tomas? How you doing, G?
What's up, bro? I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity and ask away, my boy. We're ready to do this.
It's an honor to have Chicano rap royalty in the house. I think your dad has played a huge role in regards to developing Chicano rap as an industry, and developing breaking a lot of artists that now have classics under their belt. Can you tell us a little bit more about Underworld 805 Records?
I can tell you anything you know about Underworld 805 Records. What you want to know, I guess, is probably the beginning of how we started. And if you want to know the beginning of how we started, I was 5 years old, 8 years old. All right. I'm 35 right now. My dad started this in 1990. That's when the first Cali Lifestyle project, Mexican Invasion, was fathomed and released, and created a whole movement without even trying. Back in the day when we was doing this shit, we were Chicanos in the rap game, trying to be Chicanos that rap. It was never a Chicano rap thing. We never
Right.
subdued ourselves to Chicano rap. It
Yeah.
was Mexicans that rap, Chicanos that rap, you
Right.
know. So that's how we started off with this stuff. It was a bigger vision than what it really is. And it became bigger than what it really is. So we pioneered a whole different genre, pretty much, if you want to say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So,
without a doubt, and Chicanos are rap, but I think in the early stages of it, it was also Latin rap, or kind of any kind of label that they could attribute to
yeah,
someone that spoke Spanish before the actual official label of Chicano rap.
yeah,
What was attached to our music, our culture, and the lifestyle. And your father started off in the era where hard copies of music, was a big thing. How do you,
yeah.
how do you feel that contributed to the growth of Underworld 805 Records back in the day?
The hard copies was everything back then, bro. Like back then when we started, CDs were a new thing. Cassette tapes were still the thing back then, bro. You know what I mean? Like CDs was a new wave. When I came in the game, digital was a new wave, and I recognized that myself. My dad and me myself, we still have a distro channel to where we're able to still actually move big numbers and big units of physical CDs. So, back then we were all retail. My dad owned 3 to 5 actual retail locations of CDs. So that's how he really got in the game. It goes beyond the Chicano rap. Back then, Easy E and other artists were knocking on his door to get into his shop because he owned the lane. He owned the actual. It was like back then they had to do the footwork just like how we had to do the footwork and get into these shops, get into these mom and pops, get in all these swap meets and move actual physical units. And that's what they had to do with us back in the day. So there's a pioneership of the actual whole rap game back then,
Right,
the
right,
gangster rap game. And it wasn't just, like I said, that's why we identified as Chicanos doing hip hop, is because my dad owned these stores, and he had artists like Easy E knocking on his door or knocking on his window or whatever, trying to get into his store with the physical CD sales. So it's all about physical back then.
right,
That
right.
was when CDs was just first part of the game, is when he got into the game. So that's how the whole music stuff started, is because he owned retail locations that, these rappers needed to get their product into.
Right, right, and it seemed like he had a foothold on the distribution channels, back
Yeah,
then, to directly from the artist to the streets, because it takes a lot of hustle to be able to establish, those kind of inroads with the
that,
consumer. Now,
that was unbelievable.
You mentioned, you know, getting involved in your dad's business at a young age, and perhaps being around for a lot of those classic moments in Chicano rap history. Tell me a little bit more about that, growing up as a young kid around some of these artists. Any interesting stories that you have to tell us?
Too many, honestly. There's too many. People won't believe what I've been through unless they see the pictures. And I have the pictures to prove it. My dad has the pictures to prove it. You know, I was a little 5-year-old kid, a little 8-year-old kid running around easy eating. You know, my dad would be doing business in the back room and, you know, a little trap house, like nothing special, nothing major. It was just a back room. And my dad had the plugs. He was the man, you know, back in the day. Can't
Yeah,
speak too much on exactly what he did, but
yeah,
he was the man, you know?
yeah,
So, you know, I remember being a little kid running into the back room, you know, just want to be, you know, just curious or whatnot. And my pops and Easy E would be in the back room, just, you know, just doing what they did. And
right,
I'd be like,
right,
they'd be like, hey, get out of here. You know, you little
right.
kid. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That's how it was. You know, and then, you know, and on top of that, it goes beyond that stuff. You know, my pops is very heavily involved with, I know you've heard of Johnny J. You know,
Yeah,
Johnny J, man, he's a Latino, half Mexican, half black. That, you know, did it bigger than anybody's ever done it bigger in our game, bro. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? That guy made hits for Tupac. Everybody thought, you know, Dr. Dre did all Tupac's hits. So no, it was Mr. Johnny J that did Picture Me Rolling, To Live and Die in LA. He did all those on his own project, flipped them in his own way, and he gave them to Pac because Pac and Big Syke turned them into hits. You know what I mean?
right,
He gave
right,
up with stuff. And my pops did for Johnny J what, you know, I'm doing for my artists, you know what I mean? Like supporting them on a level. You know, they needed help. He's got them. Financials, whatever he got them. I can't really speak too much on much of the details, bro. But if it wasn't for Rod Pops, you know what I mean? Like he helped a lot of people in the industry get to where they're at and didn't take no credit, you know what I mean? And Johnny J was one of those dudes that he did that for. You know what I mean? I used to be a little kid and we're swimming around my tarantarans and my little whitey tighties and stuff, swimming pool, with his son swimming around having fun with him for his son's birthday and stuff.
yeah,
And, you know, he appreciated my pops because out of everybody that showed up to the party, we're the only ones that brought gifts and showed love and stuff for his actual son. Everyone else was just there to kind of use him and party with him, you know what I mean?
right,
And
right.
take advantage of the opportunity. But my pops was real, bro. He had that real connection with him. He had that real everything with him. You know what I mean?
That's
Back
right.
then, I was too young to understand the game and understand all that, but I lived through it. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Well,
So,
and you know, I imagine that lifestyle, you know, became normal for you, but that's actually what I was thinking of asking you is did you really understand the gravity of who these people were in regards
no
to the
way,
bigger
bro.
picture?
No way. I never did. I grew up in this. I was born into this industry. Like I said, I was blessed, honestly, to be born in this industry, but I was handed to it. I had no choice. You know what I mean? Whether
Right.
I wanted to do it or not, this was given to me. So,
Yeah.
you know, I developed my own passion and my own love for the game in my own way. You know what I mean? I got thrown into this stuff. I got born into this stuff. I saw too much, too little, quite honestly.
Right,
You
right. And you know, tell me, like, I mean, your dad is still, I imagine, very active, still very hands-on. You know,
know,
with the huge catalog that he's built. I mean, Underworld 805 Records, I believe, has up to like 50 or more than 50 albums. You know,
hundreds of titles,
in,
hundreds.
in its catalog, right, right. But tell me, like, what do you really think is like your father's legacy or his contribution to like the music business? If you could
That,
sum it
that,
up.
that's easy. All right. We got three names that really matter. And my father, maybe four, but three definite that still matter and are relevant today, even though no one knows about them or cares about them. And of course, that's Cali Lifestyle. CLS is number one. That's the way my dad got in the game. You know, Easy E wanted to sign Cali Lifestyle after he signed Kid Frost. That was a play. My pops was talking to him on the daily, on the regular. He did business with him on the daily, on the regular. And then all of a sudden, you know, homeboy died of AIDS and shit. You know what I
Right,
mean? I
right,
can't speak too much on that stuff because I was a little kid. I don't know all the details, but I just know it was just sudden. You know what
right,
I mean? Cali Lifestyle's game plan was to be on Ruthless Records at the next ones after Kid Frost. Passed away, we made our next move. You know, Johnny J did his thing with us. He was going to be the next guy to take our stuff to the top, but, you know, he blew up with Tupac. and that's kind of fell off. And then my parents got divorced, and it's all history. And my pops decided to go ahead and do all this on his own, with the owner of the one and only Familiar Records. Okay, no one
Brumfield.
knows the history of Familiar Records besides me and my pops, and I'm not going to speak on that now.
Right.
You know, what I mean? That's
Murray, are
something
you talking
else.
about Murray Brumfield?
Right there. You're talking big names right there. Who helped him start there.
Right, right.
He's gonna have to talk about his own history. I can't speak on him, but he's the one.
Yeah,
He's the true pioneer of this Chicano rap game. Him and my
right.
pops, Familiar Records. Murray Brumfield. Remember that name right there. That's an
Murray
important name.
Brumfield. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, we're definitely have to get your dad on here to get his 2 cents because I
we'll have
he has
that
a massive.
definitely. I already talked to my pops today. We'll have that definitely.
That's right.
This is,
That's right.
people need to know where we come from and why
Right.
we're here. Why
Right.
I'm
Right.
still, why you're seeing me here, and why you wanted me on this video.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and definitely want to have your father's 2 cents on it because I'm sure he has a lot of information, a lot of contributions. But more importantly, we want to highlight some of the new blood, that's about to, really do some major things in regards to our culture and our lifestyle and the music. And we'll get a little bit more into that after this break. Let's take a quick little break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.
Hit us up at 805-395-6595 for your special requests, dedications, and shoutouts. Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.
Welcome back to Chicano Rap Radio. We're chopping it up with Tomas Solis Jr. of Underworld 805 Records. We've been talking about his father's legacy and his contribution in regards to what became known as Chicano Rap. We also been talking about him growing up with some of these legends in the game that at the time he was too young to understand, but he knew that there was something special going on. You when I asked you about your father's legacy, you said that that he really his biggest contribution was 3 names, and you started off telling us about Cali Lifestyle. Tell us a little bit more about Cali Lifestyle and why you think they were so massive in regards to blowing up or taking Chicano rap to the next level.
I don't really honestly know why they were so special and did what they did. It's just organic and natural. Like I said, my father, when he produced them, it was Chicanos rapping. It wasn't Chicano rap, it was Mexicans that rap.
Right.
That was his whole lane because he didn't identify. There was no Chicano rap back then, so it was just Mexicans rapping, gangster rap,
Right.
flipping oldies and old school samples and just doing what we did.
Yeah.
But Cali Lifestyle was just something else. They're special, bro. Like, they were talented before. They just did something special, man. They did
Right.
something special when they came out in the physical game, and they did something special recently on TikTok on the new game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're undeniably the number one Chicano rap group ever in the game
Right.
to
Right.
exist. And
Well,
the numbers don't lie. Like, we're honestly, it's hard to speak on this, but we're honestly diamond in the streets. We've sold 10 million copies in the streets since it's came out.
right. Right.
You know how hard it is to send 10 million copies on the street, physical copies, bro? It's unheard of. And then
Right.
on top of that, like, we just went viral on TikTok because of Dogface 420. No matter of 3 months, like, our stuff just went viral.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a fan of our stuff. We didn't ask him to do any of that stuff. He just did it on his own.
Well, and that speaks a lot for the music, like you mentioned, you didn't ask him, is because he recognized that the music and the feeling, that it gave him, like he just wanted to put it out there. And I was going to actually talk about that, about the numbers, when you mentioned them being number one. I mean, if you look at the numbers, in regards to from when they first dropped their first CD, their very first CD, CLS Mexican Invasion, to now, 20 to 25 years later. I'm sure they've racked up a lot of numbers in that time, between now and then, especially now with the digital distribution, plugged in now. I mean, that's got to definitely elevate, Underworld 805 to the next level. How do you think that's going to contribute to the growth of Underworld 805 moving forward with the digital distribution at your fingertips?
All right. Well, it's going to contribute to the growth, bro, because it's never been part of our growth. We've always been about the physical sales. I jumped out the game when I was like 19 years, 20 years old, 21, and I got into a different game and controlled that game on my own as a one person. So I'm now that there's all these numbers in the digital game and all this growth in the digital game. I've been part of the corporate world for the past 10 years. So I jumped back into this and teamed back up with my pops.
Right,
That's
right.
why you see me back out of nowhere, 25 days deep, 30 days deep into this stuff, making the moves I've been making. And
Yeah,
it's all because of the digital game, what CLS did for us. You know, there's certain reasons why my dad can't move the way I can. And there's certain reasons why I'm here handling the things that my dad can't handle. And there's certain technicalities that exist for the reasons that I'm here where I'm at. My dad's where he's at. My dad still owns the company, runs the company. He's a man in the background. But because of my position as a U.S. citizen, as being born here, I'm in a different position. I'm able to make different moves because
right,
of status as an American.
right,
You
right.
know what I mean? So that's why I'm able to move a little different. I'm able to control the corporate and the digital world for him. He needed me to team up back with him to be 100, 100% all the way around. We on the streets and we on the corporate world. My dad owns the streets, my boy. Like that's what it is. No one can deny that. No one could test my boss as far as owning the streets. I mean, myself, I own the streets in a different way.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's a different
And
industry.
right, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about that because I know who you are as a person. Is definitely derived from your father, but you also are able to stand on your own 2 feet and in your own lane. Tell me a little bit more about some of the things that you've been involved in, that you've learned because through your father has to have kicked down some game to you, and you've been able to take that and turn that into success in your own lane. Can you speak a little bit more about some of the other things that you've been involved in that don't have to do with music?
Yeah, I could definitely speak on that stuff. It's a different game, but at the same time, they go hand in hand with one another. You own the streets in this game, you own the corporate world in this game. Just like in the CD game, in the music game, you own the streets, you own the corporate world. You know what I mean? You can't do anything without owning the streets. That's what I learned from my pops, and that's why I jumped into the separate part of where I am. I'm in the cannabis world, the legal cannabis world. Before all the legality, maybe in 2016 to 2018, that's where I made all my bread. It was legal to go ahead and run it up with cannabis. Now it's legal to still do that, but the money has slowed down ever since it's become so corporate. It's become just like any other thing. If you work in the cannabis industry, it's pretty much equal to working in the alcohol or the cell phone industry, if you become a sales rep or whatever that is. Before all the technicalities and before all the licensing, it was kind of just like the Chicano rap game, you could run it up and sell CDs wherever the hell you wanted to. If you had the game, if you had the name, you're
Right.
gonna run it up,
Yeah.
So that's what I always attach myself is to the hype, the cast that had it right, So I attach myself to them and I just ran it up for them, man. I've made certain brands hundreds of millions of dollars. For me, myself personally, I specialize in making people rich. Really, you know what I mean?
That's right.
Myself, my whole philosophy is if I'm not making money, I'm not having fun. What I
Right.
do for fun is make money. All right.
That's right.
So that's my whole philosophy.
Yeah.
Every day is a good day above ground.
Right.
If I ain't making money, I ain't having fun. If you ain't talking money, I really don't want to talk to you, quite honestly.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
I changed my whole mentality recently and applied it to the Chicano rap game. I've applied this whole mentality to this of what I'm doing, because this stuff goes hand in hand, honestly. Look at Burner, look at Be Real. They're like some of the most successful cats in the game because they attach themselves from the music game
Right.
to the rap game. I mean, to the cannabis game.
Right.
And then we have ties with all those guys as well too. Me
Yeah.
myself personally, because I've been in this stuff for a long time, and my dad, when it comes to Cypress Hill and stuff, he goes that far back,
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
were starting off, and he was doing his thing, and he controlled the streets as far as what I'm doing too back then.
Yeah.
So
And
me, it's just a legal lane to it now. I own licenses and I own businesses that are legit. in the cannabis industry. And I've attached myself to the biggest brands of the cannabis industry recently that really I can't really speak on because we have big plans. Sure. And there's big people along in the Chicano rap game that are attached to it too that I will announce, in the near future. We're about to take over the cannabis industry like we took over the rap industry. So the Chicano rap industry anyway.
Right. And, and I know that you've been involved with companies that produce flour, companies that produce vaporizers and oils and things like that. And I can tell that, that you're about your money and you're hustling, putting in the work. But do you think some of the regulations in a way have kind of stifled the growth of the California cannabis industry?
Well, I wouldn't say it stifled the growth of the cannabis industry. It just stifled the growth of our own movement, the Chicano movement. You know what I mean? If you look back at 2015, 2016, who controlled the actual movement and had the best of the best and were the best brands, they're all owned by Latinos and Chicanos, you know what I mean? And Asians, really. But now it's become a corporate world and it's transitioned to blue collar.
Right.
They control that stuff like they control the music industry. You know what I mean? Trying to take advantage of the minority. And I'm not all about that, bro. My whole movement is to minorities control their own lane. You know what I mean? Right. I don't care if you're Mexican, you're Asian, you're Black, you're Middle Eastern. It doesn't matter, bro. Like as long as you ain't blue collar and telling me what to do, I'm with the business. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make y'all money. I'm trying to make y'all rich. I ain't trying to make them rich, bro. They got enough of their own money. You know what I mean? They control too much.
Right. Right. And do you see any kind of like diversity in the legal cannabis world, now, or is it really hard for minorities to get in the game?
It's really, they made it really hard with the new laws. They made it very expensive and very hard to go ahead and get in the game. I mean, before it was easy. Before there was a lot of non-truth being told to a lot of people. You got to do this. You got to spend this amount of money to get in the game. And it was usually the lawyers that were telling you that. Lawyers told you had to spend 50 bands, 100 bands to get in the game. And all they were doing was charging you 50 bands, 100 bands to do the paperwork and file it in the state, file it with this and that. All you really needed back in the day was a nonprofit organization and a seller's permit, bro.
Right.
And they would lie to us and tell us this is what you need. It's going to cost 50 bands, 25 bands, 100 bands. Misinformation, everybody, just to mislead us so we couldn't get in the game. Because honestly, we're the best growers, we're the best pushers, we're the best everything.
Right.
Because of all the licenses and everything that push us different ways in different states, to move in our own different lanes. So it kind of separated all of us and discouraged all of us. That's the name of the game is, divide and conquer. And that's really what they keep doing to us.
Mm-hmm.
But I see them. I see what they're doing, bro. I figured out ways outside of having to get my own license to make money in the license game, bro. Only me that I know of have been able to create this lane and be profitable in this business without having an actual license in the cannabis industry. Yeah. So I'm very profitable without having my own license. I've spent money, like hundreds of bands, trying to get licensed and lost hundreds of brands trying to get licensed because you know who's in control. Not me or not you, someone else. It's corrupt. Yeah. Right. Just like anything else, bro.
The system is corrupt, and you can see all the corporate world coming in and consolidating smaller farms, smaller brands, and bringing it under their umbrella and just kind of controlling the rules. I mean, how can you get in if these guys keep changing the rules or they keep moving the finish line on us? But at the end of the day, I myself, and I'm sure a lot of Chicanos are rooting for people like you that are in the business and are trying to kick down doors open for all minorities, so that we can also get a little slice of the pie. And I know you have a lot of things going on. I know there's not really a lot of things you can speak on right now because of your partners and things like that. But I want to get a little bit more into, what's in the future for Tomas Solis Jr. as a businessman and as a record executive. Let's take a quick little break and we'll be right back. You're listening to Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.
Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.
Welcome back to Chicano Rap Radio. We've been talking with Tomas Solis Jr. of Underworld 805 Records. about the legacy of his father, the things they've contributed. We've been talking about his own, success in the business world, the corporate world, the cannabis world. He has a huge resume that he brings to the table. And now, in my view, it seems like you're about to, you're on the verge of something big. I know there's a lot of things cooking in the lab right now. Tell me a little bit more about the upcoming project with Sarah S. and Underworld 805 Records.
Okay. Well, the upcoming project with Sarah S. is kind of what brought me back. My dad has been in the works with this for the past year. The Sarah S. project's almost about to be wrapped up, quite honestly. In perspective, when I was about 19 years old, let's say it's hard to put a year on it at this moment. But okay, let's just say when I was 19 years old. I'm 35 now. Okay, so that's 14 years ago. We've always had international ties. Okay, we got the Chicano rap game into France, Italy, Japan, Amsterdam, Croatia, the UK, Greenland, Iceland, just international.
Right.
Pops created a lane with them that no one else had. They were just worried about the States, but we're too busy worrying about the big money overseas to worry about the States. We didn't care about the fame. We didn't care about that. All we cared about was the bread, and the physical sales. So they wanted it. We handed it to them. All right. So that's still the name of the game for us. That's why we're able to move physical units, because we don't concentrate just on the streets in the US. Our biggest lane is Japan. Okay. Japan, they want Sarah S. tough. You might not know who Sarah S. is, but she's huge out there.
Right.
Back when I was 19 years old, she was on the Billboard charts out in Japan competing against Janet Jackson when Janet Jackson was still number one, the biggest pop artist in the game. Janet Jackson was number one out in Japan. Sarah S. was number two. If you don't know about Sarah S. in the US, that's your own fault. All right. She was known internationally and competing against Janet Jackson in sales and physical sales, CD sales. So, and she still has that pool. This day and age, Japan still want physical units from her. We have POs for dumb numbers, for Janet, for Sarah S. So that's why my dad's doing the moves that he makes. He made those moves on his own, made it happen on his own with Dominator, one of the original pioneers of the 805 sound.
Right.
He's producing her whole project. You already did an interview with Dominator.
Yep.
Dominator, his name, he speaks for himself. I don't have to speak for that guy. He's the motherfucking man, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're working on a project. Dominator's producing the whole thing. I'm getting certain features for Sarah S, that I can speak on. There's a name like Cali Lifestyle that's gonna be on her shit, and a big name, Capone.
Capone and Sarah S. Right. Capone, Sarah S. That's gonna be a massive record. Massive record.
That's how I got into this, because I helped my pops get Capone. You know what I mean?
When do you expect to drop that? I mean, if you don't have an exact release date, can you give us a time frame?
We have deadlines, but we have other projects in the works that have to meet those deadlines too as well, that I can't speak on.
Okay.
The only project that I can't speak on and that name associated with it is because it started with that project.
Right.
Now, because of that project, me and that person that I spoke the name of, we have a partnership that's like undeniable at this point.
Right.
And I'll speak on that on our next interview. I'll tell you about all the releases that we got slated. Him himself, he's got his own lane, his own things. He don't even need me, you know what I mean?
Right.
But he recognizes game. Game recognized game. And he partnered up with me for different reasons, you know what I mean? And I'll speak on all that, and I'll announce all that in the near future. But now at this point, I can't. I got to be a little vague and just kind of hype y'all up and make sure y'all ready for what we got coming. Because it's bigger than Chicano rap. It's bigger than anything.
Right. And we understand that you have to respect, your agreements with your partners and be strategic with it. So we look forward with you blessing us with that exclusive information when you are ready to release it. You mentioned, also CLS working on the Sarah S project. Are there any planned projects for CLS to make their way back into the studio?
Yeah, there's definitely plans, but currently they're locked up under another record label, Silent Giant. I really can't speak on that stuff either because I got plans and stuff that if I speak on it, it may ruin what I got going on.
Okay. All right.
You know what I mean? So they're planning on retiring with Underworld. Okay.
That's right.
I'm Underworld. I'm the one they deal with now in the future from here on out.
They're coming home. They're coming home.
It's like a free agent that goes to another team, balls out with the team, wins the championship, and then comes back and retires with the team that did it for him, like LeBron James and shit. You know what I mean? If he went back to Cleveland, but he's with LA now. He's with the Lakers. He's gonna finish with the Lakers, bro.
Yeah, without a doubt.
TLS, compare them to LeBron James. They're the GOATs. No one can touch them.
Yeah, well, we look forward to all of that.
To the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't mean to be that cocky, but that's really what it is,
Well, I think it's not too far off. I think the comparison, definitely has a lot of similarities, and I know you and Capone and any other partners that you're working with. I know you guys are strategizing and about to make a big move, and we want to make sure that you, the listener, stay posted and keep an eye out for Underworld 805, for the Sarah S project, for CLS making their way back to Underworld 805. And, Tomas, I just wanted to recognize that you have been blessed and you've been given the reins, to take over Underworld 805. What kind of other things do you see in the future for the Underworld 805 Records family?
I see us being a corporate influence, controlling who's allowed to be in and out of the game, quite honestly. You know what I mean? So, and it's not just Underworld, it's strategic alliances that I've made along the way that no one else could have made.
Right.
I will announce that in the near future through Chicano Rap Radio, through Mr. Snipes right here.
Thank you.
You created your own lane, and I respect that. No one does. It takes a lot to do what you did yourself, and I respect what you did yourself, bro, because it's not easy. And this game ain't easy. No one cares about us, quite honestly. And for you to focus and put the spotlight on what we're trying to do, keep your ear to the ground and realize that what I'm doing, it's like, bro, I jump on this shit easy, bro, because you recognize game, like I said.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, G. Coming, from you, it means a lot to me and to the rest of the team. And what our purpose here in Chicano Rap Radio is. We're going to continue to support the artists. I know that you have something massive. We'll just leave it at that. Are there any last words that you want to say? Before we end the interview.
I'm just saying, stay tuned, man. Stay tuned, because this is just the tip of the iceberg right here. We're about to sink the Titanic pretty soon. You know what I mean?
I love the analogy. Well, we appreciate you joining us today. We'll have you back when you are ready to give us that exclusive interview in regards to your projects. We can't say enough, how much we appreciate your time, but we also admire, what you guys have done, for the lifestyle and for the culture. Big shout out to you, to your team, and to your pops. And we'll definitely have you back when you're ready. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be ready soon. I'm telling you, this is just the beginning. We're going to do some huge announcements real soon, and then me and you will have some spectacular conversations. That's right. We're looking forward to it. Stay posted. Stay tuned. There's a lot of big things cooking in the lab. Make sure you huge. So stay posted. You won't be disappointed. You're listening to Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.
Chicano Rap Radio, raw and uncut.